Good to see you. You too.
Okay, joining us now is Jimmie Johnson. He is our 5-time defending NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. And he comes into this year's chase, the 2011 chase, as the number 6 seed. Coming in here to Chicagoland, Jimmie, a new start for the chase. And, talk about coming to a racetrack such as Chicagoland, and then maybe how that plays into you and your team going for a 6th straight championship.
Yeah, I think that, yesterday's media, excuse me, in what we've been through here the last day or so, I think Chicago has embraced our sport in kicking off the chase. I thought that the media stuff yesterday was successful, and so that's good momentum to carry into the chase for our sport. And as far as this track and Atlanta coming out, Atlanta for us is kind of a tougher track. With the old car, we seem to have things sorted out, but I would say our average finish is more consistent here than what we had in Atlanta. So when I saw the schedule last year when it was released, I felt comfortable about this track being moved into the chase, and think that it's a great host to kick off the chase. And looking forward to today. It's obviously much different than what we've experienced for the last 4 or 5 months with the temperatures. There'll be a lot of grip out there today, and I'm not sure how it's going to play into our efforts on Saturday for qualifying, but this might be a good chance for us to get a feel for the race. Day practices with night races are always tough to, I guess we don't have a night race, do we? Or is it a night race?
Afternoon race.
Afternoon race. So it might help close that gap a little bit. Was this a night race last year?
July. It was in July last year. Very hot. Very hot.
I'm all spun out. Never mind.
I believe it was a day race, though, last July. Was it? Yeah, that's what I said. It was a night race.
I knew there was a night thing in my brain for some reason. Yeah. So, okay.
Go ahead, Jenna.
Not I've confused everybody.
Go, Jenna.
Jenna Fryer, AP. Jimmie, every year this time we talk about so-and-so is going to be the guy to beat Jimmie this year. And this is Kyle's year. This is Kevin's year. Jeff's finally going to get number 5. Why is it that every year you seem to be overlooked despite your pretty proven track record?
Well, I think at this point it's safe to say that it's not going to last forever, and we've gone so far into these championships that it's just going to end at some point. And then rightfully so. I mean, some guys have shown a lot of speed over the years, and we all look at the markers leading up to the chase and who's going to be competitive. In years past, Kyle was on a tear. Jeff is showing a lot of strength right now. So it's some of it's fair, but from my experience, when you get into the chase, it's its own season. When you start over and the point spread is as small as it is from 1st to 12th, everybody has a shot again, and our guys have always performed well with the pressure. Well, Chad's mindset is, it may seem, extremely confident at times, but he is more focused on the reality of what could happen and wants to see it. Technically, you could win every race in the course of the season. Is it possible? No. I say no. He says yes, it is possible. So he just looks at things a little bit differently. And with the championship coming on, when you look at the facts within our race team and how we've been running, how we've entered this chase versus other chases, we're just as strong as we have been for the last 5 years. So that's what he looks at, and he needs to, and he needs to build our team around that. And I don't want to sound in a way that I'm not confident, because I am, but I do know at some point it's not going to happen. But as long as I give 100% and my team does, we'll be in great shape.
Go ahead, Shannon, and we'll move across the row there to Nate.
I have 2 questions, Jimmie. It's Shannon Spake, ESPN. The first one, do you think that sort of played into your favor or into your hands, the fact that every season you've kind of come in and you're not necessarily the one that all the other teams are looking at?
I want to be that guy. I wanted to lead the points coming into the postseason. We worked hard to put ourselves in a position for that, and then with what went on at Richmond, it didn't happen. But I want that target on my team and on my back at all times. There is an advantage you can gain by dominating and by setting the mark and having everybody chase you, and that's good momentum. And I wish that we had that on our side. We don't right now. I mean, we're running well. We're running in the top 5, but we've got to go out in the chase and kind of set a statement and get back to our ways and do what we can.
Second question, Jeff Gordon, spoke this week about the Paul Menard spin and said it was fishy that it happened at that time in the race. It kind of leads me to think, if he's questioning it, do things like this happen? Have you seen things like this happen on the racetrack? Is it kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire? He's talking about it, so therefore it's happened in the past?
Yeah, I don't know. Yesterday was the first that I knew about it. My race was obviously way out of whack and spent some time behind the pit wall, and I didn't even know what the last caution was for. So yesterday I had a lot of questions asked to me about it, but I still don't know what happened and still haven't seen any videos, so no real clue what happened. Yeah, I mean, you can be difficult to pass, but at least in my position and over the years, that stuff comes around, and it polices itself. And sure, somebody might be able to do something in the immediate future to benefit a teammate and get some short-term gain, but there's next week and there's the week after, and it all finds its way to balance out. But I haven't been a part of any of that. I've not spun out, or I guess that's what the allegation is, but I've not done anything like that for a teammate. But on plate tracks you can help teammates. Other tracks it's real difficult. The only thing you can do is be difficult to pass. Is about it.
Go ahead, Nate.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Jimmie, kind of following up on that, there's been a lot of talk about radio communication and about how, Mike Helton was telling us that if it's driver, spotter, crew chief, it has to be an analog channel, but apparently teams use digital radios to talk where people can't eavesdrop. Does Hendrick do that? Do you guys use other radio channels to kind of communicate strategy to one another that then gets relayed to you guys through, I don't know, secret means or whatever? I mean, is there a lot of that going on? Can you speak to if you guys use digital radios, if other teams do it?
Yeah, I think that our group kind of brought the digital radio in years back, and what it was used for and what we use it for during practice is so that we can talk openly on our channel and not give away our shock settings and our spring settings and the adjustments we're making to everyone else. And NASCAR understands there needs to be a level of privacy there and allows it to happen, but those digital radios cannot be in the race car. So from there, I think there are conversations that take place on pit road during a race where the crew chiefs can talk openly about strategy and what they want to do. But NASCAR wants the fans to have access to as much as possible, and that's why the analog radios are the only ones allowed in the car. And we just use it so that we can talk openly about a variety. So strategy could be a part of that, and things taking place during the race. I'm on the digital radio when the car's parked. There's a rule there where the car has to be stopped and the engine off in order for us to use it. And I'll use it and speak on it during practice to talk about what we need to. But during the race, I'm not sure what level really takes place there.
So during practice it's like Chad and the engineer are talking while you're on the track about the setup stuff.
Yeah, what happens for us is, truthfully, everybody in the pit is on the digital radio, and then they scan the analog, and then Chad, myself, and the spotter talk on the analog. And when I come in, they literally unplug one radio and plug me into the digital so I can join that conversation. And as I leave to go out on the racetrack, Chad is typically thinking about his next change, and will be instructing the guys, get this ready, that ready. Maybe some conversation between he and the engineers, about next steps and things like that. So that traffic's not in my ear while I'm driving around.
Let's go here to Lee.
First of all, could you not talk in code, kind of like how a skipper gives a baseball pitcher, what pitch to throw? I mean, to kind of get around that.
You can, and we did. First 4 or 5 years, 6 years maybe, we would talk in code, and frankly, during practice, we just wouldn't talk. You'd come in, and window net would come down. Crew chief, you might remember that crew chiefs are inside the window of the car, and you would talk in great detail about spring shocks and those things. But when they allowed us to use the digital radios, it just made it easier to work in the garage area and to have everybody up to speed, because we have guys like our shot guy is inside the transporter waiting for his his adjustments to come from the crew chief. And instead of Chad being in the window, talking to the engineer, somebody running through the garage area to the transporter to tell the shot guy, or the shot guy needing to be there, and it just saves a lot of steps, and it helps things progress much quicker.
And are you confident that the whole situation with Kurt Busch is behind you entering the chase?
I am. The discussion we had following Richmond, that's the first we have had a discussion like that. And I do feel it's behind, and I'm entering this chase in the next 10 races, and really forever on the racetrack with it that it's behind us, and certainly hope that it is. Yep.
Other questions for Jimmie? We're here, please, Nicole.
David Newton, ESPN.com. Jimmie, you're starting to hear the things like the accusations Jeff made, and you're going to hear a lot of more of those type things, I guess, during the chase, because guys start to play mind games. Do you think that's going to be part of all this, that people are just trying to get in everybody's heads?
It could be. I mean, there's some guys that are really good at it, and then some of it might be, I don't know if it's intentional as a mind game, but we're in a world now where we just speak our mind, and there are a lot of opinions out there. So opinions may be kind of misconstrued, and you guys may give us too much credit for our opinion is what I'm getting at. And you might think that it's a mind game when we're just speaking our minds. And a lot of us, including myself, speaking for myself, I walk in here, I don't read and watch and spend a lot of time knowing what goes on in this room. So I walk in, usually don't understand a lot of the backstory, give my opinion, then I see it somewhere else, and it maybe doesn't have, maybe I wasn't up to speed like I should have been, and it has a little different meaning once it is placed into the overall story. So some of it's just opinions of the drivers.
Other questions? All right, Jimmie, thanks a lot, and good luck in your quest for your 6th championship. Thanks.